Okay, 1 month update.
One month carnivore update. I'm a bit late with this, but holidays be holidaying, and we got paid, and I had to go grocery shopping and all of that fun stuff. So anyway, focus.
I have a few things I wanted to talk about in this particular video. I do have my stats and like my numbers and stuff, but first I kind of wanted to walk you through this journal that I took. I started on about day 11 of December doing a journal. Every day I tried to, and I'm still continuing this, by the way. I'm trying to touch base with how I feel, things I'm noticing, etc. So I was going to go ahead and walk you through some of this. Okay, so the first day I have documented is December 11th. And it's basically, I was super excited because I had energy. Like I was, okay, so preface this by saying that I have Hashimotos and RA, and my brain fog and fatigue and exhaustion had gotten absolutely astronomical. Could barely function, could struggle to remember words that I knew that I know. It was really, and I was in a lot of pain. And I just kept seeming to like gain weight. That's just my why. Like I don't want to be in pain anymore. I want my body to heal more than anything else. The weight loss and stuff like that is kind of like the cherry on top, so to speak. Maybe it shouldn't be a cherry on top if I'm carnivore. Maybe it should be like losing weight would be like the butter pat on top. There you go.
Because yes, I have become a butter muncher.
Fat makes me happy. It makes me feel full. It helps me to sleep. It actually gives me more energy now. So like, and I'm on I think 34 days of carnivore so far. Okay, so anyway, back to what I was saying. So on day 11, I was like exclamation points everywhere about the fact that I had energy and I was able to do more things than I'd been able to do for weeks, almost months. But then it bit me in the ass because I was so excited to have energy. I just went, and forgetting that, yes, there's a rebound that's going to happen because I'm not completely healed yet. I was down and out for the next several days after that. I think I also struggled to eat properly, eat as much as I should. Well, I've been overweight my entire life, so I come from a yo-yo type background. I probably have underate more than overeaten. But I did, when I grew up, like I ate a lot, but we were eating very carb heavy meals. And so anyway, on December 13th, said I was feeling less and less hungry. It's weird, but at the same time, like super sleepy, mild headache. I need to eat more or add more fat and add more electrolytes. And that night, the reflux was absolutely horrible. Like I couldn't sleep at all. Looking back, I'm thinking, yeah, that, day 13, Peggy really needed to eat more fat and electrolytes. After this, I'm pretty sure that I added a lot more electrolytes a day, and I'm still doing the electrolytes. So on the 14th day, I really wanted to get out and walk. Like the impulse was so strong that I almost went out to take a walk. And usually, just the idea of standing up from wherever I was enough for me to go, oh my God, that's too much work. But like, I wanted to take a walk, but my energy was low, so I took a note from the last time and rested. But I still was just like, yes, I actually want, like the desire is there. This is fucking great. I had continued to weigh myself, and like on day 15 I wrote down how much I lost, but after that I decided that I wasn't going to look at the scale anymore until the 1st, because as exciting as the scale can be, it can also be a detriment to my mentality. So I needed to focus on the health and the benefits that were non-scale related. I was excited and motivated by what was on the scale, but I was also hungry, and the reflux is bad. So that day I was like, anytime I had a moment of reflux or I craved something that wasn't carnivore, I took a bite of butter. And that was the day that I think that was the day I took measurements. I don't know. I have measurements though. One of the things was the 16th day. I'm going to try and speed this up. On the 16th day, I noticed that I wasn't obsessively looking for a closer place to park because, again, energy was low. Spoons are ridiculously low. And I usually was from the mindset I have to conserve as much energy as possible. So I would close the parkist. I would, plan things out in a store so I don't have to backtrack and waste steps because I didn't have the energy to do that. So like there was a whole lot of thought process going into, which when you have brain fog is also very frustrating and overwhelming and exhausting. Being a chronically ill person is exhausting. I think I also had some emotional realizations on this day, okay? And I'll read you what I wrote. So I am realizing that I have a glimmer of hope now, and that the emotional part of that tells me that my illnesses and lessening abilities affected me a lot more than I wanted to realize. I'm getting emotional right now. The dark cloud that has been hanging over my head for decades feels a little lighter. I was more numb and disassociated than I wanted to acknowledge it for a long time now. So I've been on a healing journey of like healing past traumas and, you know, all of the things that we end up being like, well, that could be another story, another video. You know, it was just, I was realizing, you know, I was getting that clarity. I was getting the clean thinking. I was getting the energy back and like feeling good and having hope again. And it's like, I didn't realize how, like I had an inkling because I'd had some, I guess I should say, unaliving ideation. So I knew it was pretty dark for me, but like that day it was a realization of just how low and bad my mental health had gotten, and just the prospect of I was trying to hang on to hope, and it just seemed like everywhere I looked there was no hope to be found for my RA and my Hashimotos. And like, in fact, it was kind of the opposite. Like whenever I would look for hope, I would find that people were just getting worse and more broken and more deteriorated, and just like, I didn't want to be that person. I can't be that person. Like I don't want to be that person, and I don't have a choice in this disease. So what I can do though is change my diet. And so that was again a huge motivating factor and continues to be, which is another reason why I wanted to write this journal, so I have something to look back on, because sooner or later I'm going to be at a point where maybe I'm not feeling so fatigued and brain foggy, and I'm going to forget, because you know humans forget. But I have something to look back at to remind myself from where I've come. Another weird thing I noticed is that I wasn't having intrusive thoughts while driving. I've been having a lot of those over the years, and like they just continue to get worse. But that day I noticed that, well, wait a minute. It's been a couple of days since I've had any intrusive thoughts while driving. This is crazy. Okay. Oh, and I also found out that day I ate like 2.5 tablespoons of butter in one sitting, and I found out that butter, like in larger quantities, makes me feel hot and flushed and everything like that. And I'm like, does that mean it's my metabolism waking up? I don't know. We'll see. So on the 17th day, I did take a walk, because I had actually nourished myself enough that I felt like I could do that. And it was amazing. It was like 0.71 miles. Took the dog. It was very short. It felt good to be out. It felt good to be moving. It felt good to watch my dog like sniff to her heart's content and everything like that. Okay, so on the 18th day, I noticed that morning phlegm had gone down. Now, my morning phlegm is kind of back again. And I'm thinking it's probably dairy. So I am in the process of trying non-cow dairy items. So we have like goat cheese and sheep cheese and things of that nature. And some of it's really, really good. So I also tried the Costco's grass-fed butter for the first time on that day, and let me tell you, oh my God. I think I said, no wonder people mainline this, because it tastes so good. My husband, of course, thinks I'm weird because he doesn't like the taste of just butter. But I have a funny story, because I grew up with my grandfather on my mom's side eating butter at every meal. Like he would just cut himself off a couple slabs and straight butter. And I used to think that was so gross. Ew.
Now I'm a butter muncher just like my grandpa.
And I got the term butter muncher from Courtney Luna. If you don't watch her, you should. Okay, so I think I also noticed that I was not eating as much as I should. Like I was eating, and I'm not religiously tracking. I am tracking often enough so I can make sure that I'm getting enough food. And so I've been slowly increasing what I've been eating too, because I am a chronic undereater. I am a chronic undereater as well as a binger. Okay. So that day I got about 65% fat to 33% protein, which, you know, that tends to be about where I end up, but I feel better when it's closer to 70 and over 70. So, you know, I'm working up to that still. I'm just kind of taking my time and listening to my body and learning to listen to my body, cleaning things up the longer I'm on there. Like for my water, I had used this crystal light thingy that had some ingredients that I no longer wish to ingest. And so that I had been drinking that for the first like couple of weeks of the carnivore diet, and then I took that out, and I'd been putting in like lemon and lime juice for a couple of weeks, and I was like, you know, that's probably not good for the teeth enamel, and I already have dental problems. So I was like, why don't I just go ahead and eliminate that and just use my electrolytes and water and see what happens. And now that's pretty much what I'm drinking. If I don't drink electrolytes and water, have coffee, and I've been recently putting like a whole egg in the coffee and zhuzhing it up like zzz. Sound effects are everything, y'all. And at first I thought it was going to be really gross and kind of taste kind of eggy, but it actually doesn't. It froths up so well and gives me that creamy taste I love. I put electrolytes in my coffee as well. Okay, so one day I had, for some reason, you know, my body was just in a lot of pain, and I ended up taking a muscle relaxer. And I'm trying not to use muscle relaxers or prednisone. I have prednisone in case I have a flare, but I am so hesitant to use prednisone because I'm like, I'm only 43, and if I start using prednisone now, then like it's not going to be effective later in life. That was my thought process. And now with that being carnivore, I'm even more like, I don't think prednisone's going to be all that helpful for me. Oh yeah, and yesterday, oh see, I know why I was in pain that day, because the day before was my son's like end of semester celebration of learning thing, and I had to go upstairs, and it was uphill, and I walked like 0.78, and so I was using more of my body than I had been, and it was uphill, downhill, stairs, yada. So that's why I was tired that day. I also noticed that when I get tired, I don't eat. Like I'm just like a zombie. Just get me to bed. And so, and when I don't eat, I'm noticing the fatigue hit a lot more. Like I'm noticing these correlations and how my body is affected. And so now I know that, you know, if I'm going to have a long day, I have to take breaks and prioritize fueling my body for that day. Otherwise, I'm going to not just tank myself for that day, but I'm going to tank myself for like the next 2 or 3 days. And it's going to be like swimming upstream to eat enough to give myself that energy back. And so this process is just amazing at like learning more about my body and how to give it proper nourishment and everything. And I'm all for it. I had on December 21st was Yule, and we made rack of lamb, which was my first time having rack of lamb, and it was freaking delicious. I want more. The next day we had a bonfire with friends, and again, I didn't think far enough ahead to prep things to eat while they were here, and we ended up eating really late. That night I actually didn't end up eating because I was so tired by the time they left. So again, you know, learning lessons, maybe. I can be pretty thick-headed. Also backfired in the way the fact that my reflux was so high. Like when I eat more protein and fat, my reflux is lower. And so when I don't eat it, it's so painful, y'all. But we had gone over to my mother-in-law's for Christmas for the kids. I was pretty proud of my husband and I. She had ordered pizza because we told her she could. We just ate the toppings and the cheese. So that was good. On December 24th, I have a little thing like I finally ate until full/stuffed, you know, like it was an accomplishment. And I said that, you know, my stomach was happy. I didn't feel bloated or like gross at being stuffed. My sleep was so much better that night. So like I said, I'm finding correlations between things now. And like again, there was some yo-yoing of not eating enough, finally eating enough, and seeing the difference. I also had some mild food aversion that went on, so I just kind of had a coffee with egg in it because it was the only thing that sounded good, and then I just let my body rest until I was actually freaking hungry. I ended up feeling hungry around 8 p.m. that night, so I went ahead and I ate some eggs with a soft scramble, real light. And then on December 27th, I noticed that the rashes under my boobs and my belly apron were clearing up faster and they hurt a lot less. Like it's crazy, and the brain fog had reduced. I was able to remember more things. Oh yes, and I have like little regrowth going on in my hair here because of some of the medications I take. Hair loss happened, and I'm seeing regrowth in the hair, and I'm super happy about that. Like, so happy. And my hubby asked if I wanted to take a walk that day, but I wasn't feeling up to it. But I said, as we feel able and capable, we should just get out and take a walk. And he agreed to that. So, okay, so the night of the 27th, I wrote this on the 28th, but I was like, this is the silliest thing ever. But I swear, I had a dream last night where I ate all of the sweet things, all the carby things without stopping. And then I fell over too full and couldn't get up. Like it was a cartoon, kind of like, Humpty Dumpty fell over kind of thing. And then I woke up and I'm sitting there going, okay, brain, I know what you're asking for, but I really don't want that stuff right now because I know it makes me feel like crap. But I just thought it was funny. I also had a realization that, like, I can't do just plain eggs. It gives me sulfur burps. They have to be done with stuff. And again, learning more things about myself. I had one night I had pork chops. The next day we had pork roast, which had been smelling good, right? So I eat that until I'm comfortably stuffed on the 29th. And it was delicious, yummy, everything, right? But when my husband opened it up later to give himself some pork roast, I felt nauseous at the smell. And I couldn't stomach it. I didn't eat anything else the rest of the day because my stomach just went bleh. So that was interesting. So I just concentrated on being hydrated and all of that. On the 30th, I woke up craving beef. So I cooked up our beef patties and had those. And then I also had chicken drumsticks that day, which I'm loving the skin on those. Oh yeah. So I have a symptoms list that I wrote up before I started, and there's like 65 things on that list that I want to see improve and or go away. And it was just, I was mind boggled over it on the day 30 that, I'd made it through 30 days. And yes, it was up and down. I'd learned a lot of things. I'd done mistakes. But like at the end of it, I could see, the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. Like there was hope. There was improvement. Even though on the scale, like it was going just a little bit this way towards improvement, right? It was like I was all the way over here and it's going just a little bit. And I'm like, if we just a little bit for the next 50 years, I'm fine because sooner or later I'll end up over here. I've also been wearing my watch and taking my blood pressure and my heart rate at random times to see, and I've been noticing too that like when I take the proper amount of electrolytes, my blood pressure is better. When I don't take enough electrolytes, my blood pressure is worse. So isn't that interesting? So on day 30, I noticed that I was having some bone pain, and I was like, holy crap, bone pain. And then I was like, wait, when was the last time I had bone pain, Peggy? It had been a couple of days. And with my RA, I get a lot of bone pain as well as joint pain. And like, it has been a constant thing. And usually it's triggered by getting too cold. And since we're in winter, it's triggered a lot. But now it's not a constant thing. It does continue to happen when I get too cold. So now I just try to make sure that I bundle up and I'm more aware. Every so often it will also randomly start hurting now. But I'm like, it's not constant anymore. That's a freaking big thing. Like my bone pain, y'all, is not constant anymore. It's not constant anymore. I am... Okay, I tried an experiment and had cheese before bed, and that just exasperated my heartburn. So no, we're going to stick with butter before bed. December 31st, we went grocery shopping, and we went to like 10 fucking stores, which is a lot because we live out in the boonies, right? My body was yelling at me, but we really had to go to all these stores. But I also made sure to eat while I was out, and then when we got home, I made sure before I even sat down to like make something and eat something, and then we had dinner, right? So I ate 3 times that day, and that was also the night that I had beef ribs the first time, which freaking hell yes, sign me up. Okay, I mean, I still have a long ways. My husband was kind of laughing at me, like, I have a hard time with warm or hot fat. And so like my gag reflex is really strong. But I told him that I'm determined that one day, I'll be able to eat those beef ribs to the bone and clean the bone just like he does. The things I talk about. It's funny. Okay, according to my watch on the 31st, it said I'd walked 3.5 miles. And I'm like, I think it's been years since I've walked that long in one day. So, anywho's. So that brings us to January 1st. And I said 31 days, 1 month down. My lifetime to go. Wow, this is already 25 minutes. Okay, if you're still here, thank you so much. Here's the punchline. Probably the things you've been wanting to know a lot is my numbers victories. So I started at 270. I'm now 253. So 253.4. So I am 16.6 pounds down and 5.25 inches down as well. I am super happy with that, and all of the non-scale victories is really what is continuing to motivate me. I have also realized that at some point when I stop seeing improvements or noticing improvements, that I may have consistency, continuity, and continuing issues with carnivore. What I mean is, if I don't see progress, I will be tempted to stop carnivore. And I don't want to stop carnivore. I want to continue because I want to be better. I want to be able to do what I was hoping to do. I want to be more mentally present for my family and my kids, and I want to be present for myself most of all. I took a step and joined a carnivore community that's behind a paywall, so to speak. I did a lot of looking around and listening to the people on YouTube that were within various communities to see what kind of environment I was going to be joining, because I didn't want one that was going to be judgmental. I didn't want one that was going to not be encouraging, not be active, that kind of thing. And so I ended up joining Steak and Butter Gals, Steak and Butter Gang. And they are doing World Carnivore this month, and tonight is actually the kickoff call. Hopefully I'll get this video up. But if you're interested and it sounds like something you would want to do, please watch like Steak and Butter Gals videos, and like Carnivore Luna, and the Carnivore Cure, and Limitless Lindy. Those are all, or Dr. Chafee, Dr. Boz, Dr. Berry, Dr. Baker, Sean Baker, any of those, and you will learn a whole lot about the carnivore diet that I will be able to tell you right now, because they can give you the science behind it. Carnivore is already doing things that it's blowing my mind, y'all. Look, I want to end on like pooping issues, because this is kind of funny to me. I've had kind of a roller coaster ride with poop issues. I don't have a gallbladder, so that makes the higher fat interesting. So when I first started carnivore, I had a lot of loose stools, a lot of watery poo, and then they kind of disappeared for a while, and I was going like every other day or every 2 days, and I was like, okay, well, I know from watching the videos that this is normal, so I did that. And then like 3 or 4 days ago, I noticed that it was getting really difficult to go poop at all, and when I could poop, it hurt, and I'm like, okay, I guess that means we're getting to the point where my body's using the food I feed it, most of it. And so there's very little waste that's coming out now, but when it's coming out, it's hard and it hurts. And so I guess I was like, I guess that means I'm just going to have to eat more butter. Oops. So I did, and the heavens opened and the angels sang, and I was able to have a relieving bathroom visit. Anyway, I can't believe that was my last thing to talk about on 1 month update. Anyway, so thank you for watching. If you watched this whole video, please put like a steak emoji down there, or an egg emoji, or bacon, one of those carnivore emojis. And thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Well, I will continue to give you an update on how carnivore and I are doing. Bye, guys.